Hey, welcome to the show. You are listening to the Ruosic podcast. We are a roots music podcast based out of Nashville, Tennessee, where we talk to the local music scene and beyond.
Today we have Sarah Rudy of Hello June. Sarah is a guitar player, songwriter, and her band Hello June performs
all over the place.
All over.
Check it out. Yeah, she'll tweak and tell you what to do, you know?
Okay.
Perfect.
The songs sounded fucking awesome. They were really great.
Thank you. Thanks for saying that.
Heck yeah. They were really, really great. I think that's so why you were telling us a little bit when you came in about last night, because you played the basement or the basement east last night? The basement.
The basement.
Nice. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it was Hello June, my band, and KP Hawthorne. Are you familiar with KP?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, she has she's been in some different projects, but her last project was the Hawthorns. It's her and her husband Johnny Hawthorne, and he plays guitar. He's a great player. And she is fantastic.
That's
so she's
killer.
putting out her first solo record. So she was playing
nice.
those songs last night.
We're gonna get to a point where with this show where like people are like, have you heard of this person? And I'll be like, no. And meanwhile, we've had them on. You know, yeah. That's fantastic though. That's killer. That's amazing.
No, she's good. You should have her on. Actually,
that'd be a ball. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
What? So when you're doing these runs, you're playing with the band, obviously.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What's that like for you? Because you guys have been doing this for a while. The first album came out, 20? It's been a little bit, right?
20. I think the self-titled came out in 2018, and that's kind of when I consider the kind of start of things. Yeah. I mean, we had a little EP before that, but it was we tended to get more serious after 2018.
Okay, nice.
But yeah, right now we're as a 3-piece, which is cool. I feel like I'm learning so much because we've had different configurations, but you know, I'm just kind of coming into figuring out like how to make things sound the way I want them to sound with one guitar on stage, which is
that's an ask. Yeah,
it is in the way that I want things to be, because I'm like, I want to hear ambient sort of guitar in a lot of ways, and like it would be a lot easier just to have another person beside me. But it's like, you know, it's tough to find like people that are all on the same page at the same time.
Totally.
And so it's, you know, I've just realized like I need to own this first, and then when you're writing,
do you write with the band in mind? Like in the sense that like, and I'm always kind of curious how people go about this, because is it in your mind when you're writing, are you trying to run it through the filter of what this is going to sound like live on stage, or are you just worrying about getting the best song across you can and then dealing with that later?
I usually don't think about the full band. Like sometimes when I'll either write riff-based stuff, or I'll write like with an acoustic guitar and sort of just be writing with myself. And when I'm writing just by myself and kind of in my own world, a lot of the times, like a Highways that I played, like that one, you know, I'm not thinking at all about production or what it's going to sound like.
I feel like, again, this is just sort of my 2 cents. I kind of feel like that's the move.
You know, until then, like, I say that, and I've literally said that, but then like when you're just like, oh, that's a great riff, you know, and so then my mindset, because when I'm playing a riff, I'm playing with my drummer, and so that's a much different. So we kind of write in 2 different ways, and a lot of times those riff-based songs can be like I played it the other day. I did like a songwriter round, and I was like, I'm gonna play this new song, and I played it, and I felt really self-conscious about the fact that it didn't feel necessarily whole to me, but as a full band, like that's what we wanted to present. And so it's an interesting sort of balance that you know, have, because sometimes the melodic stuff that you're creating with the guitar and with the other instruments, it's like you are creating the world and the story, and that's taking place sometimes of lyrical words. And I know that some people would disagree with me on that.
I totally get what you. And I think also it it can be hard when it's just you and a guitar to have that full soundscape there, whether it's different counter melodies going against the melody, or whether it's that sort of ambient hum that you have in your mind to sit with everything. All that gets stripped away, or a lot of that gets stripped away if it's just you and a guitar. So I think a lot of it's also just the approach you take with it. Like it sort of goes back to what we were talking about earlier. If you can just stay in the present, sort of accept, as silly as it sounds, like kind of accepting, okay, this is what this sounds like in the moment, then I think that's kind of your best bet.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're going to be like missing, in your mind, you're going to be missing shit.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, why doesn't this sound like, why can't I get this other thing across that, like when I have a rhythm section, I can accomplish this other thing. And it's just sort of like, no, be in the moment and understand that like that's just not where that's going to be right now, and so maybe it can be something else. And it's such a fluid thing. You just need to kind of be in it and go for it. But it's hard. Like it's hard to accept that sometimes, especially when you care that much about something. Like again, we were sort of talking about this a little bit earlier before we started rolling, but like that is one of the things that's tricky about music, and this transcends music too. But when you have stuff in life that you really love, it can be hard to like step back from it.
Yeah.
When you just want to obsess over the thing constantly your entire life, it's like, okay, maybe it's best to like, dial it back a little bit here. But
no, yeah, it's tough. That's one of the biggest things that I feel like I deal with all the time is like, I care a lot about this thing, but then like to be fully present in a moment, like you have to sometimes like, really allow yourself to not stress. And if you care about something, you're stressing about it. So, I mean, it's
hard. You have to find that balance of like not caring so you can kind of just be in the moment and go with the flow. But
don't
obviously
think about
you do care at the same
Yeah.
time. And so it's like impossible not to.
It's letting go of expectation in a weird way.
Yeah.
Which for people like myself, and I don't know, you might be the same way. I'm a control freak with things, especially about things that I love. Like I want things in my mind, I want things done a certain way because it's just sort of personality or DNA or whatever you want to call it. But that to me is really probably one of the reasons why I love music so much. Is over the course of my life, it's forced me to learn the skill of letting go, and just whatever the thing is, that's what it is. And it doesn't mean you don't care. It just means that your expectations aren't your expectations manifest in a different way. And that's really fucking hard to do. And I'm so glad, because that's once you learn that skill through something like music, I feel like my life is just so much better in other ways because of that.
Yeah.
Whereas like if I didn't have that through music, that understanding through music, I would probably just be a more miserable person.
Yeah, I get it.
Where did that name Hello June come from?
Yeah, we were talking about that.
I learned to play guitar from my grandfather.
Okay.
And I called him Pap. It sounds weird to say grandfather sometimes. So
Yeah.
my Pap taught me play guitar, and we would play hymns, and we would play a lot of Johnny Cash. And so in college, I got super into like June Carter Cash and just that whole
That's
family.
beautiful,
And
yeah.
so it's kind of a nod to her and a nod to my grandfather. Yeah.
Nice.
Does it feel, how does it feel releasing music sort of in a way under a pseudonym? Like there's something about that I think is really interesting and appealing in a way.
Yeah.
I like, in a strange way, I'd like the idea of sort of writing under a pen name.
Oh, yeah.
Like, does it feel like almost you have more creative liberty in a way? So
that's a good question. When I started, I'm one of those people, I guess, that like grew up under like the you kind of speak when you're spoken to kind of. And, so with that comes like a sense of like, okay, I'm just gonna shut up until someone asks me to speak. And I think that
jump in here whenever you want. You can talk over us too. We'll talk forever. So just like.
Well, I think that the name Hello June, like I was absolutely dead set on not using my name, and I think a lot of that was just me being like, I'm trying to make as, I want the least amount of. direct eyes
Yeah.
on me as possible. Like seeing my name used to freak me out. Like
Interesting.
you know, so it's like, oh God, no, don't worry about coming. You know, it's like you know, it's like the opposite of what you want to. Please come to my show. But you know, music, working in the music business has obviously it's gotten me over a lot of things. And I'm I came out of the womb very shy, very introverted. I'm not, you know, when I say that to people, they're like, really? And I'm like, but I mean, I did. And so I think for me, I'm like, I have to name this something else so that it can be about me and the rest of these people that are in my band. And, you know, so I've gotten to a point where I don't care. My name is thrown around and it's okay. I'm fine with people, you know, associating me with things.
Well, that's a nice balance then. It seems like you kind of got to a good place.
Yeah, I think so.
That's good. I do like that idea though. There's something about that for me too. I wouldn't say that I share the shyness part of it, although that could be there too. But to me, I just it's more of like an ego thing. I like when one's ego can be removed from the equation.
Yeah,
like there's something about it sounds stupid, but there's something almost about the purity of it, in the sense that you're doing it for the service of the thing. And it's like you are intentionally removing ego as much as possible, which I think is an interesting slant to come at it from.
Yeah,
you know,
for sure.
But again, some people like getting their name in the bright neon lights, and you know, as of right now, I release music under my own name. That's me too. So, so you played last night at the basement.
Yeah.
I heard what you were talking when you were playing Highways earlier. I heard that you had some exciting stuff happen last night. Give us the run. I want to hear what fucking how that went down, because that's amazing. That's so beautiful. Like that's such an awesome thing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, so we played at the basement. Lucinda Williams was in the audience. She showed up for us, and
that's got to feel just beautiful. That's got to be so.
Oh, it was beautiful. Yeah. Like looking out there and seeing someone that you look up to so much I've been around her, met her a few times now. I think and so I've gotten over that. Like when I first met her, I was really awkward and
shock and awe, you know.
Yeah, I know. I did the same thing when I met Yola Tango I met them like a month ago, and I was the same. I looked at my shoes. I'm like, oh God, here we go.
You're 9 years old again.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I mean, with Lucinda, it's different. It's like, this is. She's a living legend. She's a woman who has dealt with a lot of the stuff that I'm dealing with currently, and. She's just been so kind to me and very supportive, and my stomach's growling. You're welcome. But she's such a real and authentic person. But so she's in the audience watching, and I'm trying not to freak out about that. Because she's a legend. She's a badass. She's. I don't know that I look up to anyone any more than I do her. So, but I got to hear her new record last night that's coming out.
Oh, that's so exciting.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
So that was such an honor. We had they had some people over, and but I played my song Highways for her because she wanted to hear the lyrics a little bit better than she could in the basement. And she sang on the chorus, and I was like, "This is probably one of the greatest moments that I'll have."
That's so beautiful.
It's a beautiful moment.
That's gonna be with you forever. That's incredible.
Yeah, I know. I feel really grateful for moments like that. Yeah.
It's such a I think that we all get so. We do this for the right reasons, I think, in my heart. But we like anything that you obsess over and that you want to pour that much time and energy into. Not to say that people get jaded with it, but it becomes routine in a way. It becomes just a part of life. It's what you do, and I think moments like that can remind you in a strange way, I fucking love doing this.
Yeah. Yeah, it's because you're working so hard. This business is so hard, and I don't know that people really grasp how ridiculous this business is. You're doing. If you're doing it, you're doing every single piece of it. I do every single promo thing. I do every single graphic that you see. I do every post. I do every, I mean, it's just all the communications for booking. I do my own booking. I literally do every single piece of everything. And if you do it to a point where, you're doing it quite frequently, and I mean, it's a lot. Yeah. So, it's a lot. And then you get run down and you get like, man, like, what am I doing this for? Yeah. But moments like that, they're so real. And, I've also been grateful to just have those sprinkled in where I'm like, okay, you're face to face with very real and, amazing songwriters, or you get to be amongst a community. Like I'm really grateful for just the community that I have back in West Virginia. Like it's, I feel like I know some of the most talented people. So those moments kind of fill your cup, as they say.
And I think there's this sort of fallacy involved as well, where people think, okay, well, yeah, I'm going to grind it out, but then once I reach escape velocity, then I have other people to do shit for me. Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like, no, you're only going to have other people because there's way, way, way too much shit to do that you can't possibly do. So you're going to have even more shit to do. And now this other person's going to do the shit that you just can't manage. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and so it's like, it's one of those interesting dynamics where, at least from talking to people of, various, I don't even want to call it success, but just various points in career, it's always just, nose to the grindstone work. And I think you just sort of have to accept it and be like happy with it, but it's so hard. I mean, again, that's one of the reasons why I've loved doing this show is
you get a lot of data.
Yeah. And like, you get to like, sure. and you get to realize too, at least for myself, again, as someone like, I love writing songs. I love performing. And everyone's been in that situation where you just feel like there's no fucking way this is going to, like, how is it this hard? Talking to all these people who feel the exact same way, again, wherever you kind of fall in that timeline of things, it does reassure you in a way. Mm-hmm. And you think, oh, okay, cool. No, never mind. I got this.
Yeah.
And there's something sort of beautiful about that and reassuring. There's something about that I think makes you just feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because it can feel so isolating.
For sure. It
can feel like you are just, it does feel like it's like you against the world, which it isn't, but I think because it is, especially in 2025, I mean,
it feels like that sometimes.
Because you have the ability to do all this stuff on your own. I mean, which is beautiful. I mean, it's a double-edged sword. I mean, the fact that you can do all your own booking to the degree in which you do it. I mean, that's such a beautiful, incredible thing that you can do that, however long ago, it would have been a lot harder to be able to accomplish that on your own.
Yeah.
But it does come with, like anything, it comes with trade-offs, it's pros and cons.
Do you find that difficult to like balance that sort of business and promotional side of music with the creative? And
definitely. My biggest problem is always like just the amount of time that I have for things. Because I also own my own business. I started like about 2 years ago, I started my own business doing like graphics and branding.
Oh, nice. Fantastic.
And honestly, like with Hello June, like with the network that I've created, like I haven't really had to ask for work. Mm-hmm. So I feel really grateful for that. Like I'm in these communities that people just come to me and are like, hey.
That's fantastic.
I know. And I'm really super grateful for that. But it also is really hard. I mean, I'm managing my time all the time, but I can be really flexible with my time at the same time. So it's good, and there are some trade-offs, but a lot of times I'm like, oh, man, I really wish I could just like carve out time to write, and I do, but
it always comes at the cost of something else.
Oh yeah,
too.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
And also too, I mean, like, so you said you started that a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. That's around the time you put out the last record, right?
Yeah,
I mean, just to think of how much time goes into making a record.
Yeah.
And to be like, okay, I'm going to start this other thing on top of that.
Oh,
I mean, like,
it's still like, it's a lot.
It's like
I'm running two businesses at once. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
For your own mental well-being, probably not the best move. But no, I mean, but that's fucking badass that you can juggle that. Cause I mean,
it's a juggle,
and again, like for people who are listening, who aren't as familiar with the world,
Yeah.
That world of music. I mean, that's a fucking feat to do that. I mean, even just putting out an album on its own.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Oh, it's a lot.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah.
It's cool. I enjoy, and I help other people that are musicians with putting their records out in terms of the branding and the content that they're putting out. So,
nice.
Yeah, I'm working with this band right now from West Virginia called Blue Twisted Steel. They're you guys would love. I think their record is so good. They worked with.
I'll look that up.
Nice. Yeah, it's they're gonna drop it early next year. Okay. So but the guy who produced it he's like worked in the Tyler Childers realm. So there's he has a band called Wayne Graham, and the work that he does in production and engineering is just beautiful.
That's one of the coolest things about having the show, honestly, is we get people tell us cool bands and artists to listen to.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
That's one of the perks. It's like, nice, I get to find all this cool music. Because I also find, and maybe this is just me, so my way that I listen to music is through Spotify primarily. Mm-hmm. And I do find, as much as I love having, like all of Mankind's recorded music at like the fingertips, which is insane, I do find that it sort of funnels you into this sort of endless circle of the same shit over and over and over again. Like I'll listen, I feel like my Spotify is...
the algorithm feeds you more of what they think you want, right?
And it's just perpetually
I don't know what I want.
Yeah, exactly.
Suggest me some random shit, that's really what I'm looking for.
And I feel like my algorithm is just the same, like the last 3 months of everything I've been listening to, just over and over and over and over again.
Yeah, they tend to do that.
A little tweak, and then 3 months later, it's like the same. It's So that is kind of nice, because I do think that's kind of like a fear in a way. I think overall, all this stuff is fantastic for music, and like anything, there's pros and cons. But I think on the whole, it's fucking great. That being said, that is one sort of fear that I have, is you do get kind of pigeonholed in a way, and there are these sort of rooms you enter, and it's really hard to get out of. Just as a consumer, right. It can be kind of difficult. And I don't know if that's not even really by design. I think it's just because it's the way that we interface with these things like algorithms, etc., that you do naturally find yourself in that predicament. But it's so nice to have, for us, a sort of way out of that. Whereas I think for a lot of people who just want to throw on music on the way to their on their daily commute or whatever, you get kind of stuck in it. It's hard. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's good to avoid the algorithm sometimes. For sure. Find music in different ways, word of mouth, or I do like specific musicians a lot, so I'll hear a band, and I'm like, wow, this guitar player is killer, and then I look up that guitar player, I'm like, oh, he played in this band, and then maybe I love that drummer, and then I look up him, and he played in another band, so I find a lot of music that way.
Me too. There are networks, if you're really digging a band, I know, I've been super into MJ Lenderman lately, and his networks... I've been kind of weaving that together, cool. And I'm like, oh, there's some good players here.
Yeah, totally.
Some good stuff going on.
I think,
If you get too stuck in the algorithm, you just end up listening to the same shit over and over.
And it's this weird thing too. It's a cultural thing too, as much as it is, us interfacing with technology. I mean, not to be all, I feel like this is so doom and gloom right now. I don't mean it this way, but it's
I don't know. But a lot of things are doom right now.
But I feel like, again, as someone who's around kids constantly with my job, it's really interesting because, for them too, I think it's so strange that, they're living in a time where, you've got a bunch of 12-year-olds in the room, and they could listen to any music that they fucking want to, right. And for whatever reason, they're all listening to the exact same fucking thing.
Oh wow, really?
It's very strange.
Wow.
That and again, that's in a lot of ways that's the way it's always been. So there's nothing new there, I guess. But in my mind, I just think about the fact that it's all so accessible right now. I can't imagine, and I'm sure just by nature of who we are, right? The people who do this thing, we're a little idiosyncratic. We're a little odd. We're probably the kids who weren't listening to the same thing that all of our peers were, or most of our peers were. But it's odd. I find that you have all this access to music in a way that I never had, let alone my parents or my grandparents. Like it's getting so much easier to find that thing that you love. And yet for the most part, on the whole, they'll just want to listen to the same, like, you know, whatever it is. Well, it's like so strange.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, because like usually it's like, I mean, people who've come up in earlier generations, it's like, where you get your music from? Well, it's just limited.
Access. Yeah, it's just access.
It's limited to what your parents were listening to. You know, what your grandparents fed you and fed the, you know. So it's like, it's just very, it's going to be different. Like my experience is going to be different than my neighbors in that way. You know, like it just sort of depends. Like my parents were like into Neil Young and Billy Joel, and you know, so I'm getting. You know, Neil Young is very nostalgic for me. So is Billy Joel, and it's like some people are like, Billy Joel, like, you know, I'm like, no, Billy Joel's a great songwriter because I know I've listened to a lot of his records, a lot.
It's I do love that sort of that nostalgia trip you can get from certain music. Oh, it's the best. It's so great. It's like I love listening. Like when I can't listen to Sam Cooke and not think of my dad, like that kind of thing. Or I can't listen to Johnny Cash and not think about my dad, because it's just and it's also nice, I think, too, when you realize that your parents' taste in music was pretty fire. That helps too. You know, if we were listening to, like, you know, God knows what, then maybe I'd feel differently. But you know, that probably feeds into it a little bit. You know,
my mom was like a super big Celine Dion fan.
Really?
Oh my God, loved her. I mean, it's funny because there's some things like, you know, she got me into like Sheryl Crow, and, you know, I dug hard into that, Neil Young, and then the Celine Dion, I was like, okay, I've got to, you know, we're diverting here, but like, man, I watched her documentary recently, and holy shit, she's so strong and amazing. Have you guys seen that?
I have not. I need to add this onto the rotation.
Man,
damn.
She's had such like health issues that she's gotten over. Like, I mean, stuff where I would just be like, man, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm
you know,
and
like, man, she's like, I mean, I just mad respect. I was like, okay,
that's fantastic. You know, I need to check this out.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly what it was called, but I mean, things were.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, it's good.
Oh, she saw it.
Oh, damn. Okay.
It's too. I mean, I was crying. I'm crying hard. You know, like, but I mean, like, she's. Oh man, like, it's just, it's an inspiration. You know, that kind of thing.
That's killer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing I've been telling people recently. My music in my household took kind of a shift in like the early 2000s. My parents started listening to more like, you know, late 90s, early 2000s country, and that way I couldn't get in. I hated that for years. I hated that. And then recently, like, honestly, probably in the last like 6 months, I started going back and listening to some of it and thinking, okay, some of this is kind of fire. I mean, a lot of it's bullshit, but some of this is kind of fucking fire, honestly.
Some songwriting. I mean, good songwriting is they can really ruin good songwriting with bad production. I mean,
no, that's what I found. I think more than anything is I thought, I don't know, some of these songs are actually pretty damn good.
Yeah,
it's just maybe not presented, and that's another thing that's really kind of cool about music too, is the idea of presentation versus content in a way.
Yeah.
That you can take. You can really polish a turd and make something out of it.
Polish a turd
to a degree, you know, you know what I mean. But the inverse is also true. Like, you can take something that is really solid and is a great piece of music and absolutely butcher it in presentation.
Yeah.
And that I'm sort of obsessed with in a way. Like, when I listen to, and I find that dichotomy between those two things most present in country music for whatever reason, especially contemporary country music. Whereas it's this weird thing. I'll listen to music, and I wonder if you do this too. As a songwriter, I'll listen to music and I'll go through that calculus in my head, and I'll think, okay, do I like this because it's a good song and it's being presented poorly, or the inverse?
Yeah.
And sometimes both. Sometimes it's a great song that's presented incredibly well, or sometimes it's a crappy song that, you know, they're just throwing shit on top of, you know, like.
Right.
But that I'm constantly doing that calculation in my mind of what's going on here, and I wonder if other songwriters do that too, because I've never really talk to anyone about that, but
yeah, I do. I definitely think about that. Like I mean, the 90s, or maybe even the 80s, you know, I feel like there's a lot of, I mean, each era, it's like, you know, things are being introduced, like new guitar pedals that probably they haven't really stuck around for reasons, or like, you know, new recording equipment that, you know, have phased out. And so people are like leaning into these new things for every era.
I think the 80s like ruined a lot of music, in my opinion. Like even some of my favorite bands, like their 80s era, I just can't listen to it. And there's a lot of good stuff in there, but
Brian,
just the production
Give
style
into gated
with
snare,
like
dude. Give into gated snare.
Gated snares and super wet digital reverb and like it's everything kind of has that same 80s sound to it, and I just fucking hate the sound.
No, I know what you mean. In some ways, I love like the 80s like chorus and like reverb.
I do too, if it's like so over the top that it's kind of like cheesy and poking fun at itself, but like I can't take it seriously, so it has to be like music.
The thing is, it infected like there's no other era of music, you know, at least in the last century, I don't think that really comes to mind. There's no other decade where the sound was so prevalent over all genres of music. I mean, everything from jazz to pop to, you know, country music to, you know, anything you can think of. It went through this 80s filter in a way that like that other eras. And I think a big part of that was obviously just in a lot of ways the dawn of the digital era. It was just such a new approach. It wasn't like, okay, here are a couple new tools. It's like, no, we pulled in a whole like truck of shit that you can use now, you know, like here's a truckload of new toys. So I think that's a big part of it, but there's no other era in recent memory where that sound infected everything.
Distinct
and it's also a very distinct sound too.
Anything recorded in the 80s you can hear within 5 seconds. What era it comes from, you know?
And some people, some people did it tastefully, I think. Some people dealt with it in interesting, tasteful ways, but for the most part, it was just so potent that I think it overtook everything.
Right.
I probably look at this a little differently than Brian. I actually have a lot of respect for songwriters, bands, performers, etc., that took it on and tried to utilize it in some way. Yeah. There are some people out there who just wholly rejected it and said, I'm just sticking with and that's, I respect that in its own way too, but there is something I think is interesting about creative people saying, hey, let me get a crack at this and see. And a lot of people, they utilized it for a little bit and then sort of phased it out to a certain degree. Some people, that was kind of their whole shtick, but I don't know. I do kind of respect that in a way. I do sort of think it's interesting when artists can say, okay, here's a new color. Let me see what I can do with it. And
well, like The Cure, you know, I mean, they're like their records from really any time period. I'm in, you know. But you know, a lot of people, if they made a record in the 80s, I'm like, I mean, that's gonna be the worst one.
A lot of it didn't age well.
Yeah, exactly. That's fair. And you know what? And it got worse too. Like I shouldn't say all of my. Thinking on it now, because I've never really done this mental exercise before, most of my favorite 80s records are the early half of the 80s. By the time you get to like 86, dude, it's bad. It's bad. Because I think coming into it, there was, I mean, again, like I can think of some phenomenal records, 80 to 85. That are great, where people, you know, leaned into the sound a little bit, but it was still tasteful to a degree. Once you get to the latter half of the 80s, it is hard to find records.
And I think the public in general just got sick of that, and that's why the whole grunge movement became so big.
This is why Guns N' Roses is big now.
But people were just like, oh, the sound that's the complete opposite of that? Fuck get rid of this.
I never, maybe I'm kind of curious about this for you. I never got into grunge music.
Oh, I was into it.
You were into it?
Oh, hell yeah.
I was a
like
huge punk kid. I loved
and...
punk rock, and like that was a lot of it. That was my sort of gateway drug into music. But I can never I had a lot of friends in like high school, and I played in bands with kids who loved that kind of stuff. But to me, like that sound never clicked for me. And even today, I listen to it, and I can like kind of enjoy it and respect it for what it is. But like, it's not. I don't know, like sonically, it just was never my thing.
Yeah, I mean, I get that, but I think I was, like I was hearing things that I was really not liking that was coming out at the time. And then, I found my cousin gave me like his stack of CDs. And so, I went home with probably 15 CDs from like the 90s, and I can't remember like what exact. I know like there was a Bush CD. I know there was Nirvana. Like I just fell in love with like the grit of Eddie Vedder and his presentation with Pearl Jam and like
I say I can get down with Pearl Jam actually. I say that, but now that I think about it, there are some bands that I do really like.
Like Stone Temple Pilots too. They were really good.
Oh yeah,
yeah, they've got some good stuff.
Good. Yeah, I love the Smashing Pumpkins. Got into at that point. Like there's, like I feel like there was just something captured.
I take back everything I just said. No, I definitely got into some of that shit.
Yeah. There was some great stuff in that era.
Yeah,
it did also kind of like the '80s. Like eventually, that sound kind of got tired and.
Well, people like try to recreate, and it's like you sort of get with every attempt. I mean,
yeah, it gets
like
further away from whatever that thing is.
Yeah, because I mean, like you're. Kurt Cobain and Eddie Vedder weren't thinking like, let me try to be like someone else. They were like, and so you've got this really authentic thing that happened. And
I think that eventually happens with like all genres of music.
Yeah.
How do you feel for yourself? How do you balance that? How do you balance that feeling of, I'm trying to think of quite the way to say this, but that expectation of presentation, genre, etc., with what you feel to be true to your creative voice? Like, does it even enter the equation, or are you very mindful of it? How do you go about dealing with that? I
don't really. I try not to think about it because, I don't come to this as a trained musician. I was actually afraid to sing into a microphone until someone like forced me one day. And I'm grateful, for that, because I was legitimately too shy to even just sing into a mic. But, for me, like if I'm, again, my grandfather taught me to play guitar, and then I taught myself everything else after that. I know a lot of people who have had a lot of playing experience with, their friends. Like, I think being a woman, I've talked to a few women that have this similar experience. I feel like being a woman, I did feel like, the boys are not, they either really want you in their crew, or they're like, you're out, and I feel like it's like a tough thing growing up to kind of, in high school. I remember there were groups of boys playing, and I was like, oh, I'd really like to, I'd really like to play. And it was sort of like, nah, So, but, so you have like everybody has like kind of a different history or whatever. But I'm not coming to it from a schooled place. I'm not coming to it from a place where I've had a bunch of different experiences, And I think that for me, I've just kind of told myself, like, don't think about, don't try to, just don't focus on, because I feel different, and I feel like I'm always being like, I don't know, I've tried to embrace that as opposed to really focus on it negatively, I think, because if I'm trying to do a certain thing, I'll probably fail at it.
That's probably a very smart way to approach it. Yeah.
I think it's probably just the only thing that, again, from a limit, if I had all, your skill with jazz and stuff like that, I think that I would probably try to shape that and be something that I'm not. And, I just have to be whatever comes out.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
And I also find, again, as a consumer, all of my favorite artists in whatever world they're working in have that in common. They're all very idiosyncratic and they're all very distinct. And they might be difficult to box into a particular genre or style. And those that I love the most covered a great many styles and genres and approaches of music or whatever it might be. But it's this sort of constant pursuit of the thing that is the element that I think I latch onto the most and respect the most in artists. Like,
it feels like I had for a while I had a manager I was working with that was really into the Americana scene, and so he was really introducing me to a lot of that sort of scene and network. And so I played Americana Fest a few times, and I never classified Hello June as Americana. And I mean, I feel like that just didn't really click with me, although, they've welcomed us into that circle in a lot of ways. But I feel like I'll never forget I was like, man, I'm having so much anxiety because I'm watching these different acts before me at Americana Fest, and I'm like, this wasn't an official showcase. It was just I mean, there's a bunch of unofficial stuff that goes on.
We've all done that.
Which they're cooler, you know what I mean? That's usually cooler. But I'm watching all of these really good Americana artists, and I'm basically oh my God, we're gonna get up there, and it's...
It also starts to sound the same too.
It does. Yeah.
Which again, there's some of that stuff I really like, but
no, so that, I think everybody's kind of aiming at a thing, but I'm having this semi panic attack, and I'm so I get up there, we do our thing, and I'm well, that sucked because it was an outdoor hot thing, and I'm sure it sounded terrible, and No Depression wrote that we were the Velvet Underground of Americana Fest, and I was all right, that's fine, I'm good with that.
That's a win right there. Nice. No, that's so beautiful though. And I think to me, those are often the gigs that stick with me the most. Really, truly, I think, and those are the ones that
it taught me to just chill, do it. It's you know what I mean? Because I thought they were gonna be get out of here, you're never going back.
But there is something to. Don't get me wrong. I think if you're working if your goal is to work in a particular style, genre, scene, etc., that can be worthy in its own right. Living in Nashville, we obviously have a lot of people on here who work in that country world, and that's great. And as someone who loves particular moments of country music and particular styles of country music, I think that's fantastic. To myself, as a creative person, I don't really have interest in that. I don't have interest in serving a particular style. I only want to serve the creative voice in my head. Whatever, and that might borrow heavily from particular styles of music, and that will shift and change over time. I think anything does, but all of the people that I love in music, and again in any art form, if they can stay true to that, I think there's something there that I'm just drawn to, and I think as consumers, that's what most of us people want. Authenticity. They want someone. I'm sure that's the reason why you're doing incredibly well, is because people watch you perform and they recognize, okay, this is someone who's trying their best to present the thing that is in that they're creatively fishing for. Last night, I went to this local theater in Nashville's been doing a month-long run of Akira Kurosawa films, which I'm a huge movie nerd, and he's one of my he's the GOAT. If anyone wants to know who's the greatest of all time, Kurosawa's great. But last night they played Ran, and I got fucking high as balls, and I went to go see. I've been like living in that theater for like the last like week at this point, and I got fucking high as balls, and I sat there, and I can't tell you how many times I've seen this movie, but I had never seen it in a theater before, obviously, and it was like a religious experience. I mean, there's something just watching somebody who is that. This was one of his last films. I mean, for him, this was his sort of. He would call it his greatest work. I would probably say the same. And to watch somebody that competent in what they do at that skill level of what they do, present something with that sense of clarity and integrity and just passion. I mean, to me, that's the best part of being alive.
Yeah.
Like, I just think that's the most amazing thing in the world. I mean, like the guy's wife dies of 40 years or whatever, 39 years, dies over the course of making this movie. They shut down production for one day, and he's like, "Fuck it, we're going back to work. We're making this fucking just
dedication,
that dedication of like, no, like he sort of famously started to go blind at the end of his life, and he couldn't. He was afraid he wasn't going to be able to actually see when they got to shooting this movie, so he painted. It's like a 3-hour movie. He painted every shot of this movie, and then had his DP, frame for him while they were actually shooting, because his eyesight was so bad.
Oh,
but like to have that level of commitment to something, and to see that on screen or to hear that or what, like
I feel like you have to,
even
almost,
if you don't know those things, I think those things transcend. They come through, 100%. And like you'll sit in that theater, and it will affect you. And it's the same thing. Like if you go to see a band, you don't need to know that the bus ride to get there that day, the bus broke down, and they had to you don't need to know all that shit. But they're there, and if they are presenting something with that level of passion and integrity like that, you will get that. You will really get that. 100%. And I just think that to me is the thing in art, again, regardless of the medium, that is so powerful. And I wish, I just wish on all of my fellow man that you get to experience that as much as possible, because I just think it's the best part of being alive. I mean, other than the people that you get to meet. I mean, again, that's one of the reasons why this has been so fucking cool, is like we just get to meet cool people. That's awesome.
I'm sure.
But I just love that. I just love the stuff I love how obsessive people get about making things that they're passionate about. Yeah. It's so beautiful. I mean, there's nothing like it in the world. But
yeah, I mean, the people that I meet that are like the best at things, I feel like there's like some obsessive qualities,
Yeah,
for
crazy.
Sure.
The word's probably a little crazy.
I think I need that sort of obsessive craziness to get to a certain level.
Right.
It's
you also have to have that letting go thing, because it is like a piece of art needs to be let go. Like it's once we create it, it's everybody else's, so there's that aspect of it. And if you're too obsessive and you can't let go, then that's like
that's why I love music. I think is I love the we've talked about this on the show before, but the music that I love, regardless of genre or how you want to kind of catalog it, it is that approach of just being in the moment. And to, obviously jazz is far and away the greatest representation of this in American music. I mean, I think I personally don't call jazz a genre of music. I think it's more it's an approach to interplay. It's an approach to musicianship. But goddamn, that's the best feeling in the world when you're doing that with other people. When you're on stage and you can have that sort of creative interplay with people. Oh, it's the best. I mean, there's nothing like it. It's fun.
That's what it's all about right there.
So you did, I don't even know where I was going with that fucking tangent. Goddamn. So you did the last record a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Where are you in this sort of process of the next one? Are you still writing? Are you, where's all of that? How's that coming out right now?
I have songs.
I love it.
I have songs. I probably have enough songs, but conceptually, like, I think I want to come up with more because I don't feel like the album is done necessarily. I think probably one more round of, I'll usually write songs in like, I've found that I write them in like 2s or 3s. Like I'll write one and then another one will come, you know, and it's like probably another couple rounds of that, and I'll have enough that makes sense conceptually to me and sort of rounds things out.
When you're writing, do you think about them in relationship to the albums? Like one of the things that I find when I'm writing, and I try to not do this, but just subconsciously it inevitably comes into the equation. If, you know, it's been a while since I've done 3 records, 3 full lengths, and the last one was 2020, so it's been a hot minute. And so, you know, it's been 5 years worth of writing. One of the things that I think about when I am writing, and I try to kind of push back, is, okay, well, I've got, you know, do I need a song like this for the record, or do I need a song like this, right? You almost start, or you can, if you're not careful, you can start sort of writing to fill roles. Do you find that you do that to, like, because I love the cohesion of a good album. Like, don't get me wrong, writing individual songs, I could do that for the rest of my life and be happy. But I love an album as an album. That sort of presentation. Here's 10, 14 songs, whatever, that are a sort of cohesive artistic statement, for lack of a better phrase. And so for me, I do find that I try to mold in that regard because I want the album to be something I'm proud of. Do you feel when you're writing, you're trying to write to serve roles in that way, or is it just let me deal with this thing in the moment and then move on to whatever the next one happens to be?
Well, I think with each record, it's kind of been a little bit different. Like the first EP that I put out into the world, Spruce, those were the absolute first songs I ever wrote. Like the first song on that is called Time. That is the first song that I ever wrote. Like that you're listening to the first song I ever wrote. And Dance, the second song on that record, is the second song I ever wrote.
Love that.
I feel, you know, like, so to be honest with you, I'm just like learning with this each time. I think the last record, Artifacts, that I put out was, it was a little more of like what you're saying, like, you know, we kind of, this would be really great to have like a kind of a, you know, a banger here. Let's try to have a banger.
Let's put a faster one here. Or like we need a slow,
But I, to be honest with you, I feel at this point, like, again, because this is all just a learning experience, I'm just taking things in. And going, I want to tweak that a little bit. And I think at this point, I just want to write and see. Like right now, I actually think I have 2 records. Like I think I have one that is more of like what we're doing live is, and then I have one that's more. I think it should be more intimate. You know, and there's just some songs that I want them to be more stripped down. I want them to feel like you're in the same room when I'm singing. And I wonder if those will end up together. Yeah. It's possible. Like I am a team player. I tried to, you know, take other people's thoughts in. So it depends on kind of who we're working with and their thoughts. But I would absolutely be open to just separating those out, you know, because what I want is a body of work, you know, not that the world cares about that because the world just wants to hear one single at a time on the algorithm. But no, I'm just kidding. I actually do praise my fans for that because I feel like my fans, you know, like I've used the thought, like, you know, back in the day I would take these, take records or CDs and I would just like dissect every single thing. And I feel like a lot of my fans are those people. Like those,
that's cool. That's gotta feel nice.
It does feel nice. And I think that like, I don't know why I'm attracting that kind of person, you know, but I love it. Like I'm glad that that I do feel that. So, you know, for me, like to put together a cohesive album, like you're saying, like that is important to me. And it's also, I think, important to my fans. So, I don't know. I guess we'll just see how it goes.
That's
like,
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that people kind of find what they're looking for in a way. I think if you're the kind of person like myself or like you who as a listener, want to listen and to dissect music in that way. I think the people who also similarly want to do that, will kind of find you
attracts like.
Exactly. And I think that there's something to that, because and also like I think we live in a time now too where, because there's such an ability for people to access anything, that so many people, the desire can often be to appeal to as large an audience as possible, and to get whatever that lump sum total number is at the end of the day up to the highest it can possibly be.
Yeah.
And in my mind, at least, and this is probably why I'm not very successful, I don't really see the point in that. It's like, no, like I would rather find the people for whom are looking for the thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
And they will, I have no control over whether or not they're going to like the thing, but they're going to have a better chance. My batting average will be better with them than if I'm just shooting for the greatest lump sum total.
Those are the people I'm looking for. Like that, if I probably had to sum up like one goal of mine, it's for the business side of music, like how do I make this sustainable? Of course I want the most people to hear it as possible, but to be honest with you, like I'm really just looking for like my people. Which I
think that's probably the way to do it. I mean, because
I don't care about the guy who's listening to like, he's still on like pop radio. I don't care about. I don't care about capturing that person.
It also sounds silly, but when you actually kind of break it down on a nuts and bolts level, it's like that person isn't going to buy a ticket to the show. They're not going to buy a T-shirt. They're not, like.
Even if they are, they're not going to understand.
So it's like almost like, how much does that even serve you? One, how much does it serve you sort of on the business side of things monetarily, but also how much does it serve you as on the creative side of things? It's like, it's not really even in, it might be a number on Spotify that looks good, but it's not really serving.
That's like short term. Whereas I think the more you can stay true to yourself, the more you will eventually find people who will be like, and I think long term supporting you. Like you'll attract the right kind of people.
Right.
And even something like this show, we're starting to find that where it's like, we're kind of getting to a point of realization where it's like, okay, shit, like, I wish these numbers were higher on this video. Or this. And then I think one of the things that we kind of keep checking back in is, okay, it seems like the people, the people that who are subscribed or who do want this content, they're engaging with it. Like they actually really like it. So it's like, okay, you kind of, you found that thing, you just need to grow that thing.
Yeah.
Like you don't need, it doesn't, in a weird way, like it almost does you not, it almost does you a disservice if it's just like, okay, here's a shit ton of people who get eyes on this thing.
Right.
If none of them have
They're
any
checked
interest
out
in it,
and they're just
in the thing. So it's like,
right.
I almost would rather really cater to those people for whom do have interest in the thing, and then you can sort of organically grow it.
We started a Patreon.
Oh, nice.
Last year, I think, maybe last summer, and that's
killer.
It's been interesting because, to be honest with you, I can't say the word Patreon on Instagram or Facebook without them literally blocking like my posts from most of my fans for days.
Interesting.
So I don't really talk about it as much as I like. People would probably be like, "Why don't you talk about that?" And that's the reason. Like, you can't. If I type out the word Patreon, like sometimes
it's just not going to get eyeballs
like
on
shadow ban you or something.
Yeah, totally.
I didn't know that.
No, it's
We're
bad.
Gonna start. Brian and I have talked about starting an OnlyFans for this, just to and present it as in like a really over the top way, but then like you subscribe and it's just like bonus videos or like
us talking. Oh my god, I should do that.
I feel like that's people. That's what we've been talking about doing that forever. We finally decided, okay, fine, fuck it, we'll do Patreon or whatever. But like I still kind of think part of me is like, we should fucking do that. That would be hilarious.
That'd be good.
Yeah. Are you going to do like feet photos or?
That's what we should do. Oh my god!
If people will pay for them, we might have to.
Let's go. My god,
gotta monetize this thing somehow.
We'll get like a pro. You know how like you can have we'll have like a profile picture for it that's like Brian and I shirtless, but then like you go on and it's just more content like this.
Got you here.
That might be the move. Yeah, exactly. Damn. Well,
the Patreon is cool though because like I feel like what I've learned is like we have different tiers. Like we have, I think it's like a $10 tier, a $50 tier, and a $75 tier. And we have people that at every tier. And I feel what I've learned is like people just want to support you. Like there are people that are on the $75 tier, which I'm like, okay, first of all, I offered a service on the $75 tier. I said, like, I'm thinking about people who are new up and coming songwriters, like new guitar players to some extent, you know. I'm like, so that tier includes some work on my part, which, you know, is like setting up a meeting with them, a Zoom meeting, and having discussions about songwriting.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
I had one person in that tier take me up on that service. Most of that tier is just people being like, I don't want anything from you. I just want to support. Yeah. And
that's awesome.
Honestly, it's taught me, because I'm like, I mean, kind of to a fault, I'm like, you know, I will work my ass off, and I think that's, I mean, you know, I've had to really work against my work being my worth. And that's something that I've really had to, like, if there's one thing that I really have to focus on doing, it's like, you know, I have to realize, like, you know, sometimes I have to set that aside. And honestly, the Patreon has taught me that, because, you know, these people, because I'm thinking like, I need to make this worth, you know,
every penny.
And even for the $10 tier, I'm like, we need to make sure that we're, you know, but it's like
getting their money's worth.
I overshoot on that because I'm insane, but like, I am, but you know, it's really taught me, like, there are people out there that are my fans that are just wanting to be like, no, I support you.
That's amazing.
It's been really cool. And we put out like live EPs, like entire.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it's cool because that to me, like I haven't made a record yet that I feel fully great about, like for different reasons. Mostly, again, because like I'm saying, my first EP ever, you're hearing my first song. Well, my first song is not my favorite song. Like, you know, you can imagine. I don't think it's that great. But, you know, and then even the last record there's songs on there that I feel, you know, like, okay, that could have been better, or, you know, on my part. And again, that's maybe overthinking things.
But it's also, it's like every record is going to be the first record for that version of you.
Right.
And then there's only the first record for the next version of you.
Yeah.
So, like that's hard. I can definitely sympathize with that, because you can, I do think it's a mindset that you can get in that transcends music again. If you can learn to just sort of let go, and that may not be the best way to frame it, but if you can learn to let go in that way, I think it does help you with other aspects of life too.
I think I'm to the point where, you know, if we're playing the song live and it feels right to me, or if I have kind of the production down in my mind, if it's more of a stripped down song or something, like, I know in my heart if that's the right presentation. You know, like I said, we were playing in Symphony, that song that I played for you earlier, we were playing that live, and I cut it from the set. You know, we were playing a full band, and I cut it from the set because I'm just like, it's not hitting the way that I want it to. And honestly, a lot of times people were like naming that song as one that they would, I really like that in Symphony song. So I was doing some weird stuff on guitar that I think it was standing out in certain ways. But it's just like there are pieces of it we just weren't getting right. And I think, but when you do have songs where you're like, it's just from top to bottom, you could record this live and I would make a record of that. That's when I know something's like ready. And and that is my new bar, you know. And I on the last record, we assembled it piece by piece. You know, I had a part of a song or a whole song, and then I would, you know, bring that to my producer, and that feels more risky to me, and that feels like it. Like these songs that I'm doing now, like they're standing the test of time, and because we're playing them live. But I mean, at the last record that I did, it was pandemic times, so we're not being able to play those live. Yeah. You can't test them. Yeah, you know. So I mean, that's
true. That is an interesting. I haven't actually really thought about that, but yeah, my last one came out in 2020. It's the same kind of thing where it's like, you know,
it's a completely different thing.
Yeah, and then you put it out there. Like, shit, what do I do with this now? Like
we went to play those songs live, and they sounded entirely different, and that gave me pause for a minute, because I'm like, oh man, is that bad? You know?
Yeah.
And different people have different opinions on that, but you know, we've really started to settle into some of those Artifact songs live. Like I love playing Faded Blue, and I didn't really Faded Blue, like I wasn't super stoked on it on the record. I was like, it wasn't one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, I love playing it live. It's super fun. Like it's one of the highlights of the live set in my mind.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's interesting how those things change. And it's interesting for me to, those things come back around sometimes. Where I'm always focusing on the present batch of songs and really trying to focus on that, but then the song will come back to you that you haven't played in like 7 years, and you're like, okay, why does this song want to like present itself now?
Right. And
again, I think it sounds stupid. It's just a matter of being open and like and saying, okay, receiving that and seeing what you can do with it, and it's fun. It's like a little gift when they come back to you. Cause,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. Because otherwise, and you have to be. Again, this is something I'm not particularly good at, and I've had to get better at, is just accepting. Okay, well, some of them will come back when they're supposed to, and some of them won't. And that just is what it is. I mean, they're all your thing, but you just need to sort of let go of it in that way again, and just if they come back, great, and then you'll find your way of presenting it in that moment. But anyway, it's an interesting thing. I mean, life with music it's so multifaceted. I don't know.
Oh, it's taught me a lot. Like music and working in this industry has taught me, like, I don't know. I feel like you're constantly having to grow or be stunted, I guess.
No, that's a very good way of saying it. Like in some ways it's just sort of like sink or swim, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, it has its pros and cons,
Yeah.
But hell yeah, dude, I'm so happy you did this. The song sounded fantastic.
Thank you.
They were fantastic, and I'm glad you got to come on and talk. This is one of the coolest parts of life for us, is just getting to meet Colton people who are obsessed with the same shit that we are.
Yeah, oh yeah. No, I
this is really like therapy for Brian and I think more than anything else.
Yeah.
We just come on here and like we bitch about our own problems. Like, do you feel the same way?
You're not alone.
There we go. Perfect. That's thank you. That's what I need to hear right now. But no, everyone go check out the music. Catch these guys when they're on tour. All that good stuff. But hell yeah, appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
That was so much fun. Yeah, it's definitely